Welcome back, folks, to another webinar. It's our second one with Spencer Forum. We've had an eventful morning with Spencer. We attempted to do this once, and unfortunately, Spencer had to deal with some urgent family situation. But we've come back. He's dealt with that, and it's all worked out. And we're going to be starting this webinar, and we're going to be discussing WPFusion with LaunchFlows, and it should be a great presentation. Over to you, Spencer.
Thank you, John, and thanks to everybody who arrived earlier. I had a little family motor vehicle accident I was called away to attend to, but this is good because now we get a chance to do it over again. Today we are going to focus on marketing automation, specifically through the WPFusion plugin, but really ultimately how to automate your custom checkout experiences. And this could be for any number of sites that we are very happy to help people with, but are seeing all the time. Membership sites, e-commerce sites, could be consultancy sites, anywhere where you've got people who need to be registered, logged in, and track their behavior to give them a custom journey through your content or through your hands-on consultancy. So if I'm going to share the screen. I think, John, you have to enable the screen sharing for me.
I do. Thank you for reminding me.
Thank you, sir.
It's another security feature.
Oh, yeah. I have that myself. And I don't know if this shows up, but I'm going to hide myself and you in the corner. So it.
Yes, it's showing.
Very good. Terrific. All right. So for those of you who I haven't had the pleasure to meet, I'm Spencer Foreman. And for about the last 10 years or so, I've been a leading expert in WordPress and marketing automation. I actually was around when WordPress started, but things evolved very quickly from there. And I focus on helping people with their profitable online membership sites. And I've been lucky enough over the last 15 years almost now to help around 30,000 students and clients and otherwise. But today I really do focus exclusively on helping smart people, smart business owners, to see how a very small stack of WordPress plugins can be assembled, kind of like Lego blocks, as we'll talk about, to be a powerful solution and yet provide that very special thing you just don't get from platforms, which is 100% ownership, control, and freedom over what solution you have. We always talk about the pain, right? Whenever you have a client, whenever you have a customer, whenever I'm doing a webinar, what is your pain? Well, I will bet that you are experiencing at least one of these two, maybe both, pain points. Because these are the most common things experienced by people who are in WordPress looking to create a custom checkout experience or a membership site and so forth. You either have the shiny ball syndrome, which is sort of like a golden retriever when you go, here you go, here you go, here boy, here boy. You just see so many exciting plugins and services available that work for WordPress that you find it hard to concentrate or focus on what you really need to get your job done. Or you may be a person who has created a Frankenstein monster. You've done like most of us, gone into the Home Depot and grabbed things off the shelf, thinking that you're getting good advice and just sewn them all together into something that, well, it's attacking the townspeople. And now you have to kill it and start over in order to stop it from causing you more pain and misery than it was originally designed to solve.
Yeah, we've both seen those.
You're laughing because that's our normal customer, right?
Yeah, it is really. Yeah.
Monster.
God almighty, I had one this morning.
Absolutely. So what do we do in a modern online business? Well, like I mentioned, it's kind of like Lego blocks or IKEA furniture. And back in the before times when people went to malls and stuff, you would go to the Lego store with your kids and there would be maybe 5 or 6 or 8 colored blocks that all snap together. Or better, you'd go to IKEA furniture, which I still like to do, and you can have a great lunch, have some coffee, and then buy anything in the store knowing that it will all easily assemble with no instructions and work with anything else you've ever bought in the store. And our WordPress stack that we're going to talk about today works the same way, where you really have only 4 to maybe the most 7 total components, and you'll learn how to snap those together, assemble it without directions, if you will, into a membership site or e-commerce site or something that has a custom checkout experience with marketing automation baked in. And in the end, you'll be able to, if you want, grab a copy of the free demo sites that we offer here from LaunchFlows so you can play with the very same thing that I'm showing you in today's presentation. Now, this drawing gets a lot of mileage because this sort of shows very simply how the virtuous loop of marketing automation works in a modern online business. And what we do is we start with the interested people at the top. That's your traffic. And what you want to do is send them to what we call a custom checkout experience. But remember, I don't mean checkout in the sense that it has to be involving money. A checkout could be for a free onboarding with a lead magnet, or it could be just an offer to try something out. Nevertheless, you're going to use your page builder and the other components to offer a landing page, a checkout for money or for free that potentially leads to either delivering the products or the upsells or other offers. And then finally, you'll typically take them onto either the thank you page or onto their My Account dashboard. Now, the big difference is when these events happen with the various plugins, as I'll show you in a second, we synchronize the user's behavior with WPFusion using the metaphor of tags or custom field data. And a tag is nothing more than a word that describes someone has done something or seen something or clicked something. It's sort of a binary yes or no, they've done this, seen this, consumed.
Yeah, and I think this is my own perspective. This is what causes a lot of confusion and a little bit of fear. Probably
You mean
fear
the
is,
tag?
yeah, you know, all it is that WPFusion, when you install the plugin in your sidebar, it adds a area, widget area, and for a specific action that Spencer's talking about, you can add a tag, and that tag has to be one word. No, I don't think it should have any.
No, it doesn't have to be one word, but you're right. It is. Let me simplify this part, because when we get to it, we'll come back to it.
I was just pointing out that tag, like this, just take a very popular CRM active campaign, and then it communicates through API with active campaign, and it sends that tag, and then you set up active campaign. So if it receives that tag, a action or a series of actions that active campaign can do are triggered. That's the basics.
The basic idea, and we'll follow that through on this drawing, is that yes, you have two sides of the table where a person, the visitor to your site, is tracked. You have the actual person as a user on WordPress, which is on this side of the plate. The next thing is they do the things they do in WordPress, and we spit them out the other side, where they are stored as what they are often called as a contact in your CRM. And in a CRM, you are literally the same person, and the tags or other field behavior that is stored is synchronized from the WordPress side to the CRM side for two reasons. Number one, because the CRM is what gives you that power that you're describing to create, if you wish, a follow-up automation. A popular example would be somebody joins my membership course and I want to set a timer for 3 days. Well, the timer doesn't exist in WordPress. The timer exists in your ActiveCampaign or your other CRM. And the follow-up action, which is called a trigger, or in some cases it's called something else, like Adrian calls it something different, is that a benchmark, is that you can say 3 days after they get the tag of being a member, they get a tag that says, change their website to put a notice on that says they should visit a course, or send them an email that tells them, hey, how you doing? So what happens is that the CRM acts as your automation brains, but the actual place that people experience all this stuff is either in the WordPress site or via email. And so without getting too complex on this drawing, if this loop is followed, what you're able to do is to use the same plugins that you normally would, except now, as we'll talk about, you know exactly who is registered, exactly who is viewing something or clicking something or buying something. Exactly that person can be communicated to automatically with the things that you feel will create a personal user experience or journey. And that's the big difference. In the old days, a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, you would add people to your list. And you know what you do then? You would make a promise that people were so excited about. If you give me your email, I promise to send you 65 unsolicited drip emails forever. And people were so thrilled about that. Well, try to do that today in 2020, where somebody gives you the email and then you send them 65 emails. You'll be gone after email 2. With marketing automation, you can give somebody only the thing they want based upon their own choice at the right place and the right time, and leave everything else that you do out of it. And that's the kind of personalization that builds relationships and very happy customers. More importantly, it's a no code, no design setup. So the fear that you reference is real, doesn't need to be there. We're not going to dip into complicated things. You don't have to do anything with your tags. We'll do a live example, except be semantical. Semantical means if you looked at that tag by itself, does it tell you what it does? And that's how we're going to tell you how to create these things. Purchased, product A. Joined, membership site. You're going to use a tag that's very obvious what it does, so that when somebody has it or doesn't, we know what to talk about. So we don't need you to spend your time reinventing the system. I have 30,000 plus clients, customers, students to let you know that this is tried and true with all the modern stuff. And if you stick to this simple formula, you will have, just like ClickFunnels or Kajabi claims to be the best software, you will have WordPress, open source, owned and controlled, best possible combination. And you can therefore spend all of your time on creating your content or marketing or building the customer relationships for the reason that you actually are building this site. You didn't build it to become a web designer, you built it to sell the stuff you have. So here's the stack. And we're going to go through this in the list, and then we'll show you in the live site. You have, your content management system is WordPress, of course, it's free. You've got, go back up, sorry. You've got a theme. Now this is relevant to the conversation. John and I joke about this. In 2020, you do not need anything other than a free theme such as Astra, unless you have one situation. The one situation would be if you have a social network first, then I highly advise everybody to check out the Buddy Boss line of theme framework, which has BuddyPress, BBPress, a lot of fixes baked into it along with the styling. But for everybody else, the page builder is what does all of the heavy lifting for design, for theme work, for future proofing, as well as for marketing automation. So you skip now the theme and go right to the page builder. We use Astra for the free theme. We use Elementor, the free version, for the page builder. If you're a fan of Divi or Beaverbuild or something else, Gutenberg, fine, no problem. I will recommend, as I'll talk about in a second, that Elementor should still be in the mix for doing your custom checkout stuff, because it doesn't cost any extra time or hassle, but it allows you to do things a little faster. Transactional.
And you found that it's benign. It works reasonably well. It works with other page builders by your testing, haven't you?
In other words, put it like this. Like, imagine smartphones. Before smartphones, there was 800 trillion styles of phones, right? There's flip phones and Trios and Blackberries, and everybody had a phone. Now everything is a smartphone. The reason is that we finally all agreed, even if you have Nokia or Android something versus iPhone, it's still the same shape, still does the same stuff, because we all really realized we're wasting time with all the other metaphors. Let's just use this metaphor and use it for the purpose. And in the same way, there's right now dozens of page builder plugins. If you just use Elementor with WooCommerce and LaunchFlows, you can use anything else under the sun for your design stuff. But just for that mechanical drag and drop stuff for the checkout experience, just use the free Elementor and you'll get all the best support and all the ready to go stuff. And that's tested out to be as fast or faster than any other way to do it. Payment gateway, I recommend everybody go right to Stripe. Even if you have you're a fan of PayPal for some reason still, unless you're selling digital products under $5 as your primary purpose, there is no use for PayPal, because everybody else still needs to have a credit card in their PayPal account. They'll essentially be giving PayPal their credit card instead of you directly to Stripe, which makes no sense. The custom checkout experience is handled by LaunchFlows, as we'll talk about. The marketing automation is WPFusion. Now, by way of this event, I'm going to tell you that for many people, it is actually enough to just use WPFusion Lite, the free version in the repository. However, if you have a need for things that are between plugins or using webhooks, which is a fancy way of saying automations that you send from the CRM back to your site, you would want to check out the paid version for sure, and it would pay for itself. The CRM...
So the main difference between WPFusion Lite and the paid versions is it's
webhooks and plugins.
So when you want the actual like active campaign to communicate a set of instructions back to your WordPress site, that's what WPFusion Lite won't do for you. Is that about roughly correct?
Slightly different. It will work with ActiveCampaign or any CRM no matter what on the Lite version. What it will not do with the Lite version is it will not allow the CRM to send something called a webhook, which is essentially a one-way message from the CRM back. So let's say you had an email campaign and you wanted it to tell the website to add a tag when somebody clicks the email link. You don't get that capability with the Lite. You also don't get the ability.
I was just trying to simplify. So I was like, with the Lite version, it's kind of like one-way communication from WordPress.
It is, exactly, right. That's a good way to think of it. It's one-way communication, but what you can do with the Lite version is... Which does,
it's a good starting point, isn't it? Because it's quite easy to overcomplicate all this initially and just go totally bonkers, isn't it?
Just to keep it simple, think of it like this. The Lite version is a USB connector. It connects your WordPress site to the CRM of your choice so that when somebody joins, they will get the appropriate tag. But think of it like one USB cable. You get like one basic connection instead of all the multitude of connections you can have with the paid version. That's a good way to think of it. So you can accomplish a lot, but you can only accomplish maybe unilaterally one tag setup or, you know, simple stuff. I'll show you in the actual setup. So it doesn't need to be too terribly confusing. Just understand that what WPFusion does is it connects the two worlds. It connects your WordPress world to your CRM world. So you've got a user and a contact, the same person, always in sync. The CRM that I like to recommend to people is if they want to try inside of the WordPress site, there's really only one game in town, that's Groundhog. If they're interested in doing it to a SaaS CRM, which they're very mature now, they all have been essentially around for years and years. ActiveCampaign is the one we recommend over everything, but WPFusion works with over 40 other CRMs. Learning management system, I always like to point people towards Lifter LMS, Chris and Thomas. There's always the ability to use it with LearnDash or really any LMS. There's dozens of them that you can do, but the two main ones are Lifter and LearnDash that most people end up with. The idea here is, though, that you get a stack of plugins that are in WordPress, you own it, control it, for less than the cost of renting some platform like ClickFunnels or Kajabi for 1 month. You own it and control it, and you can build anything you want without code and without design skills.
And it really is almost future-proof, isn't it? You're getting best of breed, and you're getting a system that no matter what your future requirements could be, this stack is going to, in almost all 99.9 cases, be able to do what you want it to do, when it, Spencer?
Exactly, right. I mean, most of the stuff that you want to accomplish, you're going to do with Snap Together. That's the entire purpose of this exercise, is that we've elevated beyond the point where normal people, even in advanced cases, need to bother with coding or design. You'll find the design components you need within your page builder. Sure, you can change colors and stuff. You'll find the code will be pre-established into a plugin or into a module or a widget or something. So we generally have 3 types of checkout experiences. So when we're talking about automation, back to that drawing, we're really talking about checkout experiences. You've got your typical one-page checkout, a multi-page checkout, or a unique journey. And the difference between them is really subtle, but the ones that are one-page checkouts are the ones where you want to get somebody onboarded very fast. Those would be things like a lead magnet that gets somebody into your site, registered and logged in, or they could be an upsell or an auto purchase after they've already, had their first transaction. A multi-page checkout is where you oftentimes want to take some extra data, like maybe they have to fill out a special form, or they have to tell you what kind of product details for putting vinyl on a truck or something. And a unique journey checkout is one which really applies for a lot of people, where you can literally just offer them one thing at a time, very specifically limited, so that they don't lose their attention. And we've used, as we'll come to in LaunchFlows, we'll come back to this later, when we start with LaunchFlows, you can go here to the 7-day free trial, and you'll be able to launch your own free demo like we're going to show you in a second. Here in the back end, you can choose any of those 3 examples, watch the videos and see the details, and we'll talk about it in a second. You'll also be able to see how I made them. But the three, in this case, 4 examples, this is an example of a multi-step checkout for donation. This is a one-page checkout that allows you to fill a basket of stuff. This is a checkout that allows you to do this journey where you go from first product to paying to upsell to order bump. And then finally, we've got the 4th example is for, let's say, LMS or something, buying access to a course, being auto-enrolled. We're going to come back to these in a second. The automation is mostly built into your products. So what happens is when you create a product, and by the way, it's worth mentioning, the transactional engine that we found works best is WooCommerce. Now, some people say I like EDD, or some people want to do ThriveCart. Trust me when I say you want to use WooCommerce. Here's why. WooCommerce is the most sophisticated plugin in the WordPress ecosystem. It has the most attention, the most time spent, and it connects to everything. It is owned by Automatic, which is the company that runs WordPress. For all intents and purposes, it should be just part of WordPress. But if you have to marry a transactional plugin, when you get married to WordPress with WooCommerce, you will never regret it. If you go with EDD, which is an amazing product, it is very limited in what other things it can do beyond the scope of its specialty. And ThriveCart is extraordinarily specialized in what it does, and it's a bit antiquated. So if you stick with WooCommerce and use this other stack, you could come back and yell at me if I'm wrong, but I know I'm not wrong because I wouldn't say it otherwise.
Well,
you will not regret it.
It's not you're wrong. There's just 2 things that I would like to say. First of all, I agree with Spencer 80%, is that the setup we're talking about will give you a modern shopping cart and all the benefits of being able to build landing pages and just the scope of everything you want to do is put on steroids. The only slight disagreement, it's not exactly a disagreement, but just I feel we need to point out is that you will need the WooCommerce subscription plugin add-on to do. You don't need it unless you're
only if you're doing recurring payments.
Recurring payments.
But even if you are doing it, the cost of the retail cost of the subscription plugin, remember, is added to the cost of the free WooCommerce. Plus, yes, if you are really tight on budget, there are ways that you can handle.
Yeah, we won't go down that road.
I'm not referring to that. I'm referring to in the repository, there are alternatives for recurring subscriptions, which are not the main one from WooCommerce. So if you look in the WordPress repository, there are alternative gateways or ways to do stuff. My point is still the same. Yeah.
I just want to point out the second thing. If you really just doing your first course, your first try on online membership course, entrepreneurship, with LearnDash and with Lifter, they both come with the ability to set up the whole thing without external membership or shopping cart environment. Both now, with LearnDash, you can do the whole thing internally without a membership plugin or with Stripe. And with Lifter LMS, you can do the whole thing with Stripe, but you have to buy an add-on for $99. But if it's your first course, your first attempt, that's an area I might suggest that you just try the whole thing with either the LearnDash or the Lifter at $99, without maybe looking at WooCommerce if you're doing it yourself, just because it's just going to be a much more simpler setup, basically. And I'm sure you disagree with me, Spencer, but that's what I feel.
Well, I mean, it's actually, I like the fact that we're having an intelligent dialogue. So I'm not going to answer you by saying I disagree, like you're wrong and I'm right. I'm going to suggest to you what I feel is the factual basis for a difference of how to do things. The thing I'm promoting here, as far as a technique, is to not do what you just said to do. Okay. And here's why. In the origin of WordPress, all the various plugins, including Lifter and LearnDash and all the membership plugins, there was a time and a place where they needed to take the money, onboard the users, protect the content, do multiple things. What I'm saying in this entire, for the last 12 months, but in particular this webinar, is the way to do things today is not to do that. It is to take each of those plugins that we outlined in this thing here. Each one of those, like runners in the Olympics, need to stay in their very specific specialty lane. So if you want to build the simplest solution and you want to avoid the problems of, oh, 8 out of the 10 things this does, and then the 2 other things it can't do it, don't use Lifter or LearnDash to selling your WooCommerce stuff or selling your membership. Don't use a membership plugin. No. Don't overlap the roles. Here's why. The LMS is for organizing content efficiently into courses, lessons, quizzes. The CRM handles the person and knowing what journey they're on. The marketing automation connection is WPFusion. The custom checkout experience is LaunchFlows. The payment gateway is Stripe. The transactional engine is WooCommerce, which also handles the user's dashboard. The page builder is Elementor. If you keep each of those things in their lane, as I'll show you again, and as I promise, you will have less confusion, less problems, because where we've seen those Frankensteins is somebody goes, well, I built a site and I use Lifter and then I put Membarium in there, or I put MemberPress in, and then I did the transaction with LearnDash, but then it connected to this, but then that plugin won't work with this. That's where the whole problem stems from. So I'll show how this all comes together.
Yeah, I think it's just a slight. I totally understand your position, yeah. And there's a great chance that you're totally right, and I'm just wrong in that.
I mean, it's you and I see each other every week around the show, so I mean, I like the healthy discussion, but that's to the heart of why I'm even having this presentation, is that like Underwriters Laboratories, all I do 6, sometimes 7 days a week is tests everything with real live clients, real life solutions, real life, how do I fix this? And in doing so, it's become very clear that the best way to do things, the most optimized, the simplest way, is to keep each of these 4 to 6 plugins in their lane and not to use them for multiple purposes. Because as soon as you use one of the smaller plugins for multiple purposes, it crosses into the lane of something else, and there's a collision.
I see where you're coming from.
Okay, good. So what we do is we now use a product in WooCommerce, free. The product can be paid or it can be for money, but you're allowed with LaunchFlows to program in behavior that makes it act a certain way. Maybe this is just for onboarding a lead magnet. Maybe this is for the first product they buy. Maybe this is for an upsell or a solo product they buy. It doesn't need another plugin. You don't have to make custom flows or steps. You just use WooCommerce for free, make a product. The products can be daisy chained together in a logical sequence, which doesn't require you to have any special other software. Just WooCommerce, Page Builder, LaunchFlows. You make a product, it's your first thing offered. Maybe you want to do something after the lead magnet, like offer your tripwire. Okay, daisy chain them together. Then after the tripwire, you offer, here's some content like your learning management lesson. Next, you say in lesson 6, I'm going to make an offer of buying our full course. Put the offer right into that checkout on the page of the lesson itself. You don't have to use extra stuff anymore. You can just use the sort of 4 to 6 Lego blocks you've got. You can, more importantly, and that was today's topic, track the user's journey. So this means that in an old world scenario, somebody would join a course, and you know when they started the course, or you know when they did a quiz, you maybe would know when they're done. Here with WPFusion, we can track everything they see, everything they click, everything they mark completed, everything they've consumed, even do things like watching the video 60% of the way, or if they got a certain grade on a quiz. Those can give somebody a custom tag, completed lesson 4, took the quiz, passed the quiz, high-fived the site owner. Those could be stored along with the field data. How much did I pay for something, or what is my favorite color?
Can I ask a quick question? Can I ask a quick question based on your experience here?
Sure.
With larger membership course websites or course websites linked to large organizations, they always want more reporting functionality. And LearnDash and And that, I know with WooCommerce element, there's a lot of third-party plugins that I think can increase the reporting. But would I be truthful, like something with active? And I know with Groundhog that agents improved the reporting functionality of his own product recently, but something like Active Campaign, do they provide a lot more functionality when it comes to reporting and that area, if you understand what
I mean, that's a good question. So here's how it actually breaks down. Whether you're using Groundhog or Active Campaign, for all of the transactional stuff or the things that involve WooCommerce or products, we don't recommend you use the CRM at all for that. We recommend that you either use some of the native reporting plugins or capability WooCommerce, or better, a product called Metoric, which is a third party. So if you have a big membership site and you've got a lot of transactional stuff going on, it's Metoric. It's very inexpensive to get started. It's a third party thing. It taps directly into what's happening with the site, including the WooCommerce data, the user metadata, the tags, and you can build one of those cool boiler room dashboards. You know, how many people joined today? How many bought this product? How many?
Yeah, that's what they're looking for, isn't it?
Metoric is the answer. However, a subset of what the CRMs do is the emailing stuff. I do recommend that you use your CRM, and Groundhog is coming up with some pretty cool stuff to do tracking of your email behavior, like open rates, or did they click on these messages? Because remember, the marketing automation that you're going to get from the CRM is two things: things that are tags that affect the WordPress site, and things that are email that people interact with directly. So use something like the native tools of WooCommerce or Metoric for the WordPress side of the transactional deal, and use Groundhog's reporting or the other Active Campaign CRM reporting for open rates and other email stuff. And I think that could give you the kind of mix that you're referring to.
Is it just, it's so difficult. I'm not helping here, but it's this Metoric, does it have APIs so it could communicate with something like Groundhog, so it could take some of that data for Groundhog and put it in
Indeed,
Metoric?
that's what it 100%. So I said it quickly, but I'll say it slowly. It taps directly. It taps directly into WordPress and WooCommerce. What it can do specifically with Groundhog or Active Campaign or any other CRM is it can get the tag and the user metadata, because those are being stored by WPFusion in a place where Metoric can get to it. So as an example, as we're tracking a user's journey, they get a tag when they joined your course, when they completed a quiz, when they bought certain amounts of stuff. Metoric can see the tags that are there because they're on the user, they're on the CRM side as a, also, but it can use them as part of whatever you're trying to show as a report. What we'll often do is like segment out the people that have a tag that said they bought course number 1 within these dates and have also spent this much money, because then we're going to send them something else, right? That's like a typical segment. If this, then that, and the other, give me those people and I want to do something with them. That's the essence of how marketing automation works. It's the ability to pick out what people have done from the tags and fields they've filled out and follow up with something else that makes them feel like they're getting the right offer at the right time, or they're seeing the right content at the right time, or that the website looks and acts like it would if you were their friend, rather than if I like dogs and you're showing me all cat stuff, you're wasting my time. If I have a dog,
as you were saying that, I think it's the two main areas where it comes to mind is obviously a shopping cart, a WooCommerce store, but also when it comes to educational membership sites where you can see, especially on keeping that student on board with the course.
right?
She's a area, there's a lot of students after a couple of months, they basically leave the course, they ask for a refund. It's called churn. So the reason why people are interested in this is to reduce churn. So you can but if you've got a large website, trying to do that manually is impractical. But setting up these automated systems, you hope to reduce churn and also increase encouragement, don't you?
Absolutely. In fact, that's what we're referring to here, increase sales, lower churn, and greater satisfaction. The purpose of automation is mutually beneficial. If you were thinking of real world dating and relationships, right? We only are in relationships that are mutually satisfying, at least if we're in healthy relationships. So what you do by using automation is you improve the things that you're offering or showing to people by way of making sure they're interesting, relevant, to the point, on time, and so forth. The reciprocal is true for the consumer of that, the visitor. If they're being shown stuff that's relevant and timely and interesting, they feel like you know them and they want to stay in the relationship. If you keep wasting their time bombarding them with crap, or worse, they've made it clear, hey, it's not you, it's me. I want to end the relationship. And you still keep sending them crap. You force their hand into like talking badly about you. Plus, you are oftentimes paying to bombard people who just don't want you with crap. Versus if you knew exactly what people wanted and why they responded by tracking it this way, you can make sure that you automatically, no effort on your own. Jonathan likes the course about golden retrievers on Sunday mornings, right? Okay, I have 100. I have 100.
How did you know? How did you know?
Everything is about rainbows and unicorns. And
am I that so obvious? Am I? I'm that easy to read? It's Labradors on Sundays.
There's, whatever the topic may be, the ability to give somebody the journey is really the same thing. Like when the old TV show Cheers, Norm comes in, and, hey, Norm, and everybody knows that's his seat, that's his beer, and they're his friend. And that's what we get out of this. You can also personalize the follow-up. So as we were talking about, the best part of the CRM is the email part, the follow-up part. Instead of nurturing people with those 65 emails, I would argue from actual experience, you've now got this beautiful facility, your website. If somebody is visiting at the website, we can see what they do, track them, and it's not an anonymous Google Analytics visitor like somebody anonymously visited. It's John Denwood. He's back. And here, we're giving him a tag. He visited on, Tuesday the 7th. That can be used to specifically tell people, hey, here's an email that there's an event going on over there. Instead of like, here's an email that you're going to have in your email box for a week and never get the trouble to read until you delete it, which was the old way of marketing. So email and follow-ups are personalized, but they are for the point of sending somebody back to your website. Maybe you give them a free lesson. Maybe you give them a course. Maybe you just give them an embedded video. But by going there, they will then demonstrate to you that they've round tripped to that event and get a new tag that can be used for future segmenting. Now, just to kind of decomplicate all this, the time it takes to set this up is minutes. In fact, when I do consultancy, for those who don't want to DIY it, we have what's called a 1-hour roadmap. In 1 hour, I can Mr. Miyagi your entire business into this stack of stuff and you're done, which to many people is amazing. But it goes to my earlier discussion with you, which is because you're not Frankensteining it and you don't have that oddball, oh, Spence, I got this plugin from 4 years ago I'm still using because by not having variability, it works. And think of that IKEA and Lego store. Have you ever been to the Lego store where you've heard of any Tinker toys being added into Legos? They don't fit. They don't offer that because that breaks the system. When you go to IKEA, the reason you can buy all the stuff any place, anytime, and it works together is because they're systematized to work together. Sticking to the stack saves you the problem of having one Frankenstein problem that leads to everything else falling apart. And you get rid of redundancy. For many people, it's surprising how much money they save because they're not paying for plugins they don't need. They don't have subscriptions. And to your point, like if you have to pay for your WooCommerce subscription plugin, that's $199 for a whole year to do recurring subscriptions. Big deal.
Big deal. peanuts, isn't it?
Right. Okay. So here's your recipe. And since we're running long on all the other stuff, we'll expediently go through the rest of this because I don't want to.
That's down to me.
Yeah. Step one, let's pretend this is for a course. It could be for any content, but I had this for a course. You create some content. Let's say it's a closed course on Lifter or LearnDash. Step two, with your CRM, let's say it's Groundhog. You're going to create a tag, semantical, that will give access to the membership content when somebody acquires that tag. And they're going to acquire it using WPFusion. The semantic would be purchased course name. So let's say your course name was Golden Retrievers. Purchased Golden Retrievers course. Okay. Step three, you're going to create a product in WooCommerce, the free WooCommerce, that sells for whatever amount you want or for free that particular Golden Retriever course product. You're not using LearnDash or Lifter selling, you're using native WooCommerce. In the process, WPFusion gives you the ability to grant the Golden Retriever tag to anybody who buys or gets that product checked out for free. Step five, LaunchFlows lets you make this experience beautiful and customized and looking nothing like a store, nothing like a shop. Instead, you just give them like beautiful pages or beautiful content. Everything is daisy chained together. Step six, LaunchFlows allows you to follow up from the purchase with a custom thank you that has an intelligent link to where the content is. WooCommerce normally doesn't give you a thank you page. It just gives you a thank you declaration that says, here's what you bought, but it's like white on, the white page with black letters, nothing fancy. LaunchFlows lets you create a beautiful thank you that also has like a button that when you buy this or that or the other product, links to those particular products' contents. And then finally, you can have the follow-up steps like upsells, downsells, cross-sells, whatever you want. I'm going to show you how this works. And we'll come back to this page, which are the next steps. So in LaunchFlows, we have a couple different examples. I'm just going to run through these really quick. And then somebody who sees this can go get their free demo, play with this, and do it on their own. The components in this demo demonstrate clearly what I'm saying. 4 to 6 plugins, 7 max. Elementor, WPFusion Lite, WooCommerce. You've got Lifter or LearnDash. You've got LaunchFlows. And in some cases, you can use a couple add-on accessories here and there. Like if you want to sell a product to Teams, you can have a Teams for WooCommerce that one transaction sells 100 members and so forth. Here's how these demos work. You go to the front. Example 1, popular solution. People need to be able to take money as a freelancer in any amount. Well, you can clearly define with LaunchFlows buttons that are predefined where if you say, pay me 75 bucks, here's a 2-step checkout, has the ability to have custom, extra fields, whatever else you want. And when somebody purchases after putting in their information, they can pay with cash or credit card or any payment method you want. Let's say I do a COD. It takes them on to a custom thank you page. The thank you page is able to show whatever they bought. It's all styled with Elementor. And then we give them some links to go to their dashboard or review their previous orders. So this entire virtuous loop is only the same 4 plugins, and it's just WooCommerce's dashboard and Elementor giving it the look and feel with a little help from LaunchFlows. Example 2. This is a basket or a bundle approach. We have a client now doing this with gelato and pizza and coffee. I want to buy the 4 for $18 bundle. Great. Here's an inline checkout where now I can add the additional particulars that I want to buy, including the quantities, or I start over. When I click checkout, just a beautiful 1-page checkout, but 2 parts. So I'm totally.
I do like that. I do like that sound, Spencer.
Yeah, it's built in. Okay, so example 3 is this one I was referring to, which can be very useful for almost every purpose. Here, this is where you keep somebody with blinders on. I want you to only focus on one thing at a time. And I love this the most. This is traditional high-ticket marketing. I don't want you to see a store. I don't want you to get lost in Home Depot. It's just like, hey, right here, look at me, right here. Okay, so you take the first offer, you buy it. It immediately gets your information, so you're registered and logged in because WooCommerce does that. So here's my registration, and if I paid with credit card and so forth, it would save my credit card and so forth, but I'm just gonna do COD. boom, takes you into the checkout. Now here's the cool part. LaunchFlows makes it possible to do one-click purchases after that initial registration. So here's an upsell. I'm going to say no thanks to the upsell. It takes me automatically one click to the original thing and gives me my receipt. But then it gives me an after checkout offer. Wait, before you go, one more thing. Maybe you want this thing. And similarly, one click, I'm there, I've got the receipt, we're done. Example 4 was the one that we did a couple last month, was Lifter or LearnDash. This is what I was discussing with you earlier as well, where this is not using their tool. This is native WooCommerce. You simply have the product, which is the normal product page. I want to buy it. Okay, great. Same idea. First name, last name. How do you want to pay? Here's the key. When you're done, the receipt has this custom link button, the next step link. And you'll notice too, it has the built-in from Lifter. It has the built-in sort of also, hey, you got registered and enrolled. The person didn't just buy the product. This bought it, they bought it, it registered and enrolled them, it gave them the receipt, and it gives them the immediate way to click and go to the course where they can start consuming it. And if they ever get lost, they always just go back to the My Account page where everything they did, everything they bought is available for them to review. This can be customized as well. Now, the LaunchFlows, I'll just touch on real quickly, is like the secret sauce that connects WooCommerce, Elementor, layout, because you can break out all of the pieces of a checkout like I showed you and put them in many different types of ways. You cannot do that with any other plugin in the WordPress ecosystem.
I think we've got to emphasize that without Spencer's plugin to customize, there are other solutions, blah, 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 like there always is. But Spencer's with Elementor is if you're using Elementor a lot, Spencer's product gives you such customization of the WooCommerce experience than no other plugin provides, because it just makes it so much easier.
Right,
and stuff that should be simple, but without Spencer's solutions, WooCommerce is a pretty unflexible dinosaur.
Well, what happens is, in fairness, what WooCommerce does is WooCommerce has components and behaviors that when you're using any page builder, you can customize a product, or you can customize, like, here's a page that has a button that goes to checkout. But normally the behavior of WooCommerce out of the box is like a shop. You have a grid of products. You choose a product to go to the product page. You say, add it to cart. You go to the cart, you say, review the order, and then go to checkout. You go to checkout and you don't have any of the other stuff anymore, and it looks like a checkout that every checkout's the same. And even other plugins like CartFlows, which is the origin for why I did LaunchFlows in the beginning. CartFlows has the same standard checkout form in the middle. As I'll show you, LaunchFlows is unique because it unhooks the products from the need to act like products. They're just transactional components where you could say, if you click this button, this product does a certain thing and goes a certain place in a certain way, even though theoretically it's all WooCommerce under the hood. And second of all, you can make custom checkout experiences like I'm showing you, where the pieces you show are only the ones you want to show. And finally, the part that I have to emphasize is, let's say you love Divi or Gutenberg or Beaver Builder or Oxygen or Thrive. I mean, I can go down 100 page builders. Here's what you do. You use your favorite page builder for the whole site, just for the checkout page experience. Use the free Elementor plugin. Because when I had to choose between building widgets for 100 page builders or building it for one, I'm saying use Elementor just for the drag and drop capability I'm showing you, and you don't have to use it for anything else. You probably will after you get used to it. So let me show you how these checkouts work.
Yeah,
if I were to go...
Oh, can we, because we've got some questions here.
Oh, sure, yeah.
We had about 7 people. We've still got 3 people with us.
I'm amazed that we get the people back, because what happened is we had to start over, but yeah. Okay.
And it's great. Thanks so much for coming back so quickly, Spencer. It's appreciated. We've got Bill, my friend Bill Conrad. We've got Felicia
Hey, Bill.
and Michael. So we've got a couple of questions, one from Felicia. How important is it to use LaunchFlows with a page builder? I prefer just to use the block editor.
Right. Okay, so what happened is I did a test of the popular page builders, including Gutenberg, and I presume that's what he means by the block editor. Oh, sorry, it's from Felicia. That's what she means. If you use the block editor, you can get the same results without Elementor, but it's harder in the sense that you have to use shortcodes, which we provide an index of, and you have to make a page first that acts as the template to lay on top of the thing. So in essence, I showed this before in a video, and I'll give you a link to it if you want. If you go with just the Gutenberg and don't use the free Elementor, yes, you can accomplish it. It looks the same. You only lose one widget, which is the donation widget. But the alternative of using Elementor free just for the content layout, everything is immediate, instant, fast, and you lose nothing. There's no change in speed. There's no complexity. As I'll show you in a second, the ease of using Elementor is simply as click, drag, done. And I think that's what I've recommended to everybody. It confuses people because they think I'm saying you can't use your favorite page builder. You can, but I'm saying for the checkout experience stuff, just use Elementor as a tool, like you know, a hammer.
Somebody says, "Will the PDF?" I think they were talking about.
Yeah, we're gonna have the slides of this. So I'll post it on the LaunchFlows. Michael's a customer of ours over there. We'll post this on the LaunchFlows site under the webinar tab, so you can get back to that for sure.
So I would like to wrap it up with just like, what would you suggest is a good starting point? So they've set up everything, they've got the shopping cart, and let's say they're using Active Campaign. What's a good, where do you start? Because you normally, you know, like you say, you have a regular pattern that you adhere to, which is best of practice. So what are some of the things, let's say you got somebody got a course, they're either using LearnDash or Lifter LMS, and they've got the shopping cart experience set up, and they've got some landing pages with lead magnets. What are some of the things that they could do with Active Campaign and WPFusion?
Well, yeah. I mean, let me bring you back to the site on the back end, because I'll show you, for example, how that works. And it's important, I need to at least show this. When you're doing those custom layouts for automation or otherwise, Active Campaign has the tags. The user is visiting a page. One of the things I mentioned was tags are not only useful for email, but they can affect what somebody sees on the website when they come back. So this is really important, John. That's why I want to show you. If we look at the layout of, let's say, my example 2 checkout page, that was the one that had the fill a box up. You'll see here that it's just a regular WooCommerce checkout, but in this widget, step 2, we've chosen a custom Elementor layout for this. Let's look at what it looks like. And then I can demonstrate where the tags come in. Here, what I've done is I've dragged various checkout components using the LaunchFlows widget. The LaunchFlows, there's only 2 widgets. There's the checkout components or the style manager. Whenever you choose a particular component, you just put the widget in place and choose, what is this? It's my cart, it's my login, it's my payment, it's my discount. Here we've got the product review. On the left side, I've got different things that I'm offering that are basically throwing products into the checkout. Like these buy the boxes, and these are the particular fruits that you want to put in. Here's an example of automation. Let's say I had previously bought the grapes, okay? When they buy the grapes product, okay, I go into the products area. I want to use marketing automation to say that when you buy the grapes product, you get a tag with WPFusion called purchased grapes. I store it, I save it. Now, since that is there, when somebody comes back to that page or some other page, we can use the fact that they bought the grapes to hide the grapes, because we don't need to offer them something they've already bought before. So let's refresh this page, for example. And now that I've refreshed it, if I go back to the grapes product, which is just essentially a picture with a link to add it to the cart. If I go to the advanced button and scroll down to WPFusion, I can now say, in order to view this, you either have to have a tag, or if you've already got a tag, don't show this. So for example, purchased grapes. If I do this, and save it and update it, when that person comes back to this grid of products, grapes will not be visible. And that will also be stored as a tag in their profile on ActiveCampaign. So when you send a message like an email that says, hey, John, we're offering a special on our 4 for $18 bundle. Why don't you buy some fruit? If I know you love grapes because you got grapes, you got the tag of grapes, I'm gonna be like, hey, we've got tons of grapes for you to buy. You see what I mean? I know that you love grapes, and I can use it either to show or hide something on the website, and I can use it to specify what message in the email should be sent to you automatically via ActiveCampaign or Groundhog or anything. This is where the rubber hits the road. When somebody buys, they get tags. The tags are synchronized. The tags being available for automation let me make a decision on, I've got a lot of grapes. Maybe I'll find the people who love grapes and send them a special offer. And those that don't, I'll change the front page to say, hey, you've never bought grapes because I don't see the tag. Let me put grapes up in the front real big so that you maybe are encouraged to buy. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I thought that was a fantastic example, and it really clearly explains, you know, some of the power that you get by using WPFusion with either.
Let me show you one thing too real quick, because I know we're out of time, but like Groundhog, right? So Groundhog, if you got it installed, you can create tags manually at Groundhog. And now Jack made an update to WPFusion where you can also create the tags like I just did on the fly when you're selling something. Because the tags are here, you can use these tags as the basis of any single broadcast, a drip campaign. You can use it for whatever purposes. But you can see that Groundhog lives in the same space and shares the same tags. So if I went to any particular contact, I can search for any contact or look at any contact and see what kind of stuff they have. What tags do they have? What segmentation do they have, right? So here's my profile. I'm a customer, I'm marketable, unconfirmed. Maybe I might have another tag, you know, here's the tag. I can use the same tags for Groundhog, same tags for users, same tag for the page builder, same tag in WooCommerce, same tag for LMS. I'm like a broken record, but you see, there's only people and tags and custom fields, and they all work together just like a system. And that's where, once you get the aha light bulb on this, it's really hard to go back to a, oh, gee, I'm going to use these functions that, you know, need this plugin to specifically connect to that plugin. You don't need it. WPFusion lets tags do the talking.
So I think just to wrap up, just one of the areas that I find slightly confusing is the combination of Groundhog with WPFusion, because obviously Groundhog has its own tagging system, but then
no, it's the same. It's the same system. It's user meta that is stored as tags. So just to clarify, if I went into, you see like here, customer marketable and confirmed. If I went to the Bob Smith over in users, and I looked at Bob Smith here in WordPress, we'll see that when we scroll down, it's the same tags, see? Groundhog tags. It's one person is a contact in the CRM or a user in WordPress, but it's the same person. And the tags are synchronized exactly the same at either end. So the beauty of this is with WPFusion keeping them in sync, whether you're using a Groundhog in your site or you're using ActiveCampaign outside of your site, the contact and the user always are the same person, same tag.
So what I think you're saying is, for some reason you decided by combining WPFusion with Groundhog, having the two installed, at some time that you for some reason you decided you wanted to leave Groundhog, it's going to be a lot more easier to integrate with an external system like ActiveCampaign. Am I correct?
You're correct that no matter which CRM you start with, you will always have the ability to change CRMs. The complexity of what you have to do is related to, you'd have to remake your automations and you'd have to remake your emails. But the users and their tags, and again, I love that you ended with that because that kind of makes my earlier point for me. And I appreciate we had this dialogue. The reason why you want to use WooCommerce is because You'll never, no matter what you switch to, have to get a divorce from WooCommerce. So your users, their transaction data, the money, the subscription, all that stuff is going to be perpetual as long as you're on WordPress. But you might want to change CRMs. You might want to change LMSs. You might want to change the page builders. As long as the customers are in this setup, everything in their lane, that will eliminate most of your future proofing problems. Having said that though, and I think Adrian would agree, the benefit of using that system is also the CRM makers or authors are free to give you as much as they need to keep you happy this way, because now they use the same, like Legos, they just work with connecting in the same standard way versus some of those old fashioned things. They invented their own systems and now they're driving sort of on the opposite side of the road towards you and you have to like look out for them. Here, everybody knows how to play the game. And
I think the other benefit, because I've had the same conversation quite often. Any reasonably successful entrepreneur in the learning environment, or especially organisation, when they're using it for external or internal training, which is often a combination. Right. The reporting functionality is area where LearnDash and Lifter fall down a bit compared to some of the more SaaS learning management systems that are aimed at corporation internal training. So your metric, I will look into it, offers reporting levels that can compete, because it is a thing that kind of puts them off using a WordPress solution. So
let me just address that. Keep in mind, if you are using LearnDash or Lifter, you can give a tag or take away a tag for everything somebody does inside of it. It's a little silly, but for example, somebody starts a lesson, give them a tag, takes a quiz, gets a tag, marks complete. You could literally give them hundreds and hundreds of tags. Now, you wouldn't want to do that because it's no benefit to you. But let's say you were really crazy about tracking people's behavior. If you heard what I said, which I know you did, you realize that now you can use the tags for creating reports, because you can very easily say, give me all the people who finished lesson 6 and got a grade of 50% or more. You don't need their reporting anymore. You got the reporting already. And the way you make that beautiful, very simple. Either you use one of the built-in like Elementor tools, or you use one of the dashboard tools from WooCommerce, or you use a user's insights or Metoric. Yeah. In other words, now that the data is standard, it's users and tags associated, the sky's the limit. And that's the thing that's really interesting. There was a time with the cell phones, everybody had proprietary service and they charged you for text messages and it was ridiculous. At a certain point, everybody realized, like, wait a second, text messaging should be standard and free. And then everybody can now make a million things that work off of it. And that's what's happened here. If you follow the metaphor of using tags, you can use so many different things in a new and unique way that you couldn't do.
I understand what you're saying, but just based on your experience, Metoric, like we had about a third in, I had the example where it could communicate with Groundhog or Active Campaigns API, and then you could combine some email. So Metoric, you found it's reasonably flexible to add some additional information to the reporting functionality.
Exactly. And I think that what happens is you already hit the nail on the head. You don't have to commit to only using this or that reporting, because the data that it's pulling from is perpetual. So instead of storing all the stuff inside a plugin that you're trying out and then you're disappointed and you have to start all over again, like now you don't have to worry. The data is stored with the user or with the transaction. And when you add another tool to try to review that information in a clever way, the data doesn't have to start over. You just literally are pulling things out. And that's a webinar we can do at another time.
We got a final question from Bill. Which theme do you recommend? What do you think of the Hello theme? Well, yeah, go on. I think it is the Astra.
Well, there's Astra and then there's Elementor Hello. And that's a great question. Thanks, Bill. So what I've demonstrated to many people is and we talk about it in WP Tonic, themes are dead in WordPress. Bless you. What we're doing instead is using page builders. So whether it's Astra or Hello, it's your personal preference. You're really not going to use it for anything other than as a whiteboard onto which you stick some magnets, which are the page builders, layouts and templates.
Can I actually answer this a little bit, my own perspective? Yeah. The basic, it's a bit like our previous discussion in this webinar. Well, where a theme really works, Bill, is a theme. If you install the theme, it will normally have pre-developed content. So they will have layouts so it will create like about us page. It will create a contact us page. It will install a number of plugins. It might install Content 7 for your contact page, which it's not a great idea because it's a crappy plugin, but it will do that, and it will put dummy content and do a layout. So somebody who's looking to get started really quickly, it has some benefits and it has some minuses, like it will install a free form plugin like Content 7, which is crap to my mind, but it does that. Now, what Spencer's talking with Hello is, when you install it, it doesn't install any of that dummy content. It doesn't set up any pages. What you got to do is you got to know WordPress, and it's just basic knowledge of WordPress. So you go in, you set up some pages, and then you go to Elementor template kit, which Elementor provides, and there's third parties that provide these template kits. So, and you go into the Elementor interface and it will have an about page. You basically click a couple of buttons and it will impose on the about us page that you've set up in WordPress. It will put that particular page template kit, skeleton and images and everything on there. What I'm just pointing out is it's just another extra step. You got to know how to make WordPress pages, and you got to know some basic knowledge Elementor, where with the theme it will do a setup for you and get things prepared at a lower knowledge level. How did I do, Uncle Spencer?
I mean, Bill followed up and he was asking in that regard about like Astra handling passwords, for example. So let me clarify something. As to what Jonathan said, agreed. Elementor now has an entire ecosystem of pre-made stuff from them or from Envato. Yeah. Like every design thing you need and want that would have come from a theme is already available either as a module or a section or a full page or even a full series of things as a theme.
A template kit.
A template kit, right. Mechanically though, and this is important to Bill's question, we use WooCommerce to handle all the registration, the login, all those mechanics, because when you look at the My Account page, in this particular case, when somebody comes to this page and they use the very same button, My Account, when they are already registered and logged in and they have the proper credentials, they will just come in and see the stuff they can see. And if they don't have the credentials, it's not a password they need per se, it is just the tag. When they're logged out, I'll just do it here, the very same page magically and elegantly becomes the password and the forgot password. This is why WooCommerce does so many great things in one for free. Instead of needing a password manager, and definitely not using the theme to manage passwords under any circumstance, you have a system where you can predict and know exactly which thing is doing what in your setup. In this particular case, we know WooCommerce handles registration, login, passwords. It directly connects to the users. And we know that Astra does nothing other than provide a blank space. We know that Elementor does all of the layouts, including some of the clever mechanics, like we just showed with the show this if they have the tag, show this if they don't. and then everything is doing its job. And then, you know, we didn't really go into it, but like in the last webinar, we showed how if you want to sell access to a course, you take the tag they bought and you set up into the course that this tag automatically enrolls you, automatically gives you access. And it's no longer hard. You no longer need to worry about all these, this piece works with that piece. They all just basically pass the tag back and forth amongst them. And it's also synchronized, of course, to your CRM. So what I want to leave before we're done with today is that the demo trial, I said, you can get a full setup with WordPress, all the components, everything I talked about here for free, no obligation. Just go to launchflows.com and click the free trial, 7-day free trial button, and get started on that yourself. Join our Facebook group where you can ask any and all questions about WordPress, automation, WPFusion at facebook.com/group/launchflows. I also moderate the WPFusion group. So if you happen to go to the Facebook group at WPFusion, that's fine too. I'd encourage that. Schedule a free call, a 15-minute call with me. 99% of my calls lead to somebody having an aha moment and saving time or money or frustration from the shiny ball or whatever. It's 15 minutes I give to everybody. Sometimes I go 30 if it's a good topic. Many people enlist my help to do that concierge session. Hey, I love it. I just want you to Mr. Miyagi this and show me to wax on, wax off, paint the fence, get it done in 1 hour. It's the same set of tools. And then finally, we have a special deal, 25% off LaunchFlows if you like what you saw here or you watch some of the follow-up videos. LaunchFlows.com/WPTonicRocks will automatically send you. So the product is $225 along with all the other free plugins that I gave you the price breakdown. For $225 a year, you can accomplish what you pay $300 a month to ClickFunnels for, or Kajabi, or one of those other platforms, but you can own it, control it. We have a full 30-day money-back guarantee. I like to think Jack Arturo is the best, and I'm second best, and maybe Adrian is in competition for first, second. But we're all, and Chris, we're all invested extremely in our personal support and service for our products, right? Lifter, Groundhog, WPFusion, and so forth. So you'll never be at risk if you try this out. And you'll always have somebody that will, I mean, we're all working together, help you to get the solution built from those components. And then also, of course, you know, WP Tonic can help you with executing, which I think is a
we got a product that we aim at developers and WordPress consultants. Basically, we provide all the software, all the pro versions of all the software that we've discussed with a host of other software. And basically, we offer a custom hosting plan where you or your client can log in to the hosting, and you can white label the login to the hosting that we provide with all the software with WordPress, and then we will support the site, and it can all be done through your account, and you can mark it up to your client. And we offer a substantial discount on our public facing prices if you come to us and you want as a developer or consultant, and it means that you don't have to buy all the software or try and get your client to buy all the software, and you get ongoing income without any of the hassle. We deal with it all. So if that sounds interesting, go to the WP Tonic page for our hosting solution. Well, Spencer, I think we're going to end it now. I think it's been a great demonstration, and please, if you've got any more questions or you want to support the show, go to the Facebook, WP Tonic Facebook page, and just leave a comment that it was a great webinar and you got some value from it. That would be very appreciated. And also join us this Friday for the WP Tonic Roundtable show, which Spencer is a regular panelist of. And we always have a great discussion on that show. It's 8:30 Pacific Standard Time, 8:30 a.m. We'll see you soon, folks. Bye.
Bye, guys.